What is going on, guys? Sorry, last minute I realized I had a white shirt on and it was blowing out the lighting, and it absolutely wrecked everything. So, but welcome to Friday Night Live. This is going to be a fun one. We're going to announce the winner of the Fish with Flukemaster giveaway, sponsored by Georgia 811, and we're going to talk fishing. So, how awesome is that? Man, I jumped up quick. Literally 3 seconds left. I'm like, this lighting looks like crap. And I'm wearing the wrong hat. But anyway, this is a Flukemaster hat, guys. I'm trying to sell all the ones I have in stock. They're Richardson hats, so they're good quality stuff. But you'll find them over on flukemaster.com. Anyway, welcome. I'm excited about this. We've got a really good show planned today. I've got some really good videos I've been planning, been sitting down and doing outlines for. I have not been able to fish because I'm injured. Not just the 6 staples in my head, but I've got tendonitis. When I got tendonitis in my right hand, I had to start casting with my left hand and started to get it in my left wrist. And I think I've got a vitamin deficiency or something like that. So I've started really eating a lot better. But anyway, such is life. And I haven't been able to cast. I haven't been able to lift up anything either. So my sons have been doing a lot of the work around the house. But anyway, I hope everybody's doing fine. What's going on, Dave Carver? Nathan Edwards, what's going on? Tire Smoke 7, hey man. Shay Henderson, how you doing, man? Scott Hash, what's going on, brother? What is going on? I think I'm gonna finally get to go kayak fishing. If I can get my wrist, at least my wrist healed. That's what hurts the worst. It's right here in the joint, right over the radius. And it hurts like heck to pick stuff up. So I'm definitely going to have to get better and not fish so much. But the videos I got planned are really, really cool. I got a kayak one I want to do that I've been really putting a lot of thought and effort into. And then my Tackle Tuesday is going to be pretty cool coming up. So David Carter says tendonitis kind of hurts, don't it? It does, man. It really does. So I ice this arm down twice a day. I ice my wrist down, do everything my physical therapist tells me to do, and hopefully it'll all work out. How's everybody's coronavirus? I'm gonna start calling this like what did my son call it? Oh crap! It was so funny, and I can't remember what it was. Anyway, I'll remember it, and I'll make it the title next month or next week. So, but anyway, hey Bobby Parker, Wicked Fishing. You guys who are just tuning in for the first time, this is also available on multiple podcasts. So if you're ever on the road, you ever just want to listen to it, just go search Flukemaster Fishing, and I'm on most of the podcast sites. So, Paul Bennett, what's going on, man? Good to see everybody jumping in. I've got a little banner I've got to get rid of so I can keep track of some stats. Little pop-up things that pop up every once in a while. But yeah, welcome everybody. Be sure to subscribe. Hit the like button. Everybody hit the thumbs up. Let's talk about the trip. So I learned a little something yesterday that I was completely wrong with only one detail about the trip. I kept saying it was all expense paid, which is what I thought, but they reminded me that it's a $400 voucher basically to get you either here or whatever, or, and getting a hotel and everything else, but we'll make sure we take care of it. I'm not worried about all that. That's just a minor detail. But other than that, I'm excited. I'm grateful for Georgia 811 for sponsoring this month. You guys, if you're ever digging in the yard and you're ever digging along the road, especially, you want to know where your utility lines are and things like that, so you don't cut into them. Most states have an 811, or there's a lot of states that do dial 811. And basically what they do is they coordinate and get all of the utility companies to come out and mark their lines for you before you dig. And so it takes 3 to 5 days, and then you can start digging and you don't have to worry about it. So, but anyway, my son just sent me a text message, got all up in my way. But yeah, I'm going to take this hat off because I don't like structured hats. They hurt my head. So back to the Georgia hat. You guys be sure to check out flukemaster.com. All right, we're done with all that mess. Let's see. Nathan Edwards. That's hilarious, man. I'm sorry I had to read that one. It says, if you need someone to help unload and reload a bona fide so you can fish, hit me up. I will meet you and can teach me, and you can teach you something. Yeah, man. I can't cast right now. Literally cannot cast a rod. And so that's what sucks a lot. And so I've had to kind of regroup and try to figure out what videos I can do right now while I'm not able to cast. So, but it's healing. Everything's getting a lot better. So, Kale Music from Wisconsin, what's going on, man? All right, let's go ahead and announce the winner. I can't wait any longer. I tried to stall as long as I can, and I am completely and totally impatient. And I wish my son would stop texting me so I can do this. All right. So what we have is we have several guys that are watching right now who have been told that they were finalists. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to call the winner, and we're going to talk to him here online. And I hope this shows up in audio. I'm going to turn my volume all the way up and get this rocking and rolling. Give me just a second. Let's see if we, there we go. You guys can hear that okay, I hope. I just hope he answers his phone.
Hello, this is Pete.
Hey, Peter Corey, how are you?
Not too bad.
This is Gene Jensen. How are you?
This is Gene Jensen.
Yes, it is, man. Are you watching Friday Night Live?
I'm actually trying to get logged in right now.
Oh, don't worry about it. Congratulations, you won.
Dude, that is so awesome. I am stoked, man. That is awesome.
Yeah, dude. Now, you missed a few of the details. I was completely wrong about, all expenses paid, but they're giving me $400 to get you either here or get me there or something. We'll figure all that out with this coronavirus bullcrap going on right now.
Gotcha.
But yeah, dude, you live in Texas, if I was am correct?
Yeah, I live in Fort Worth.
Oh, okay, so just outside of Dallas.
I actually met you really, really briefly a couple weeks ago at the Lake Fork Bassmaster Kayak Tournament.
Oh.
We chatted just for a couple minutes, but yeah, I fished that with you.
Wow.
But yeah, I live in Fort Worth.
Cool. Yeah, you probably did better than I did on that tournament. I caught 1 20-incher, and that was it.
Dude, I only caught 3. That was a rough tournament. I was looking for a deeper bite, and I just could not find one, man.
Yep.
And so I finally, stopped being stubborn and went shallow and was able to get 3. But yeah, that was a rough day.
Yep, it was. I was looking for them deep too. I at least thought I could find a school deep where I could really do good, and I never did.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you and me both.
Definitely. Well, congratulations, man. I will give you a call after Friday Night Live's over. We'll talk about details. We'll figure things out, and we'll just, we'll make it work, man.
That is awesome, man. I'm really excited. Love to go wet a line with you. I've been watching your channel since you were swinging around those white ducket rods on your on that original aluminum bass boat. So yeah, man, I'm pretty stoked. That's it'll be fun.
Awesome. All right, brother. I'll talk to you here in a little bit.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. All right, bye-bye. How cool is that? Oh man. So Peter Corey, you guys give him some congratulations in the chat. That is so cool. We're not gonna, this isn't gonna be the last time we do it. I've got ideas for a lot of giveaways. So we're definitely gonna, I love to take people fishing. I love to go fishing with people. I miss guiding a lot. And maybe if this YouTube theme starts to slow down eventually, maybe I'll go back to guiding, because it was a blast. So congratulations, Pete. I can't wait. And he's an old fan too, which is really cool. Awesome. All right, so let's talk fishing, man. It's right here in Georgia. We're kind of middle of the spawn, at least in my lakes here. A lot of post spawn. I'm pretty sure a lot of the big fish have moved out deeper. It's about to get crazy for me. I love when they move out. The shatter about to spawn. So that's kind of what's going on here. I know up north they're just moving on to bed, or they're getting ready to. So we can talk just about anything. So you guys throw your questions at me. Let's have some fun. I'm just glad a fan won it. I always worry about these giveaways, man. I really do, because there's a lot of people online who that's all they do is they enter giveaways, and mainly for like stuff. And then they take the stuff and they sell it online, and they make money, and so on and so forth. And I understand that, but that's not why we do these giveaways. We do these giveaways to reward fans. And that's why I think giving away a fishing trip is really worthwhile, because a fan's going to win it, because there's really no monetary value, not anything you can sell, which is something, sell after you win it, which is something I really like. Now, there will be a big prize pack and everything else that George 811 is throwing in, but man, I'm excited. I'm stoked. And he lives in Texas too. So if I've got to go to Texas and meet him, there's so many places I want to fish that I have never fished before that are around Dallas. So awesome. All right, let's get into a couple of questions. Thanks everybody for congratulating Pete. Ash King, thanks for the $5. He says, hey bro, currently fishing the Shelmond in Tennessee. Hope your hand gets better so you can get back to fishing. Thanks, brother. I appreciate it. I don't even know where the Shelmond is. That's a new name in Tennessee for me. I wonder if it's a river. Hey Gene, ever fished a scrounger head for swim baits? If you have any tips, I have no luck. When they first came out, I did, but I haven't since. And I kind of see it as like a quiet chatterbait where you got to bump into stuff. But there's so many different new ones since I've done it. I know Ryan, he used to take and buy big ones and tie bucktails on them and make them like a scrounger bucktail jig and throw them in the tail races below the dams and catch giant stripers. But man, I don't know enough about scroungers anymore. So has business slowed down since the corona? The videos have not. My hands have slowed me down, but really not a lot has changed for me. Except for I'm not traveling. And so, but I've got water close by. I can go do videos. It's really made me turn around and refocus on the instructional videos and stop trying to do all these trips. And a lot of times that takes so much time out of my life that I lose the focus of doing instructional videos. So, but not much has changed except for that. I've got my garden in. My boys are home helping me do it. I really appreciate my sons helping me dig ditches and stuff in my garden, because I can't. My oldest son literally would not let me pick anything up today because he was tired of me re-injuring my wrist. So I got good kids most of the time. All right. Hunter Nixon says, I had a great trip on Logan Martin last week. My buddy and I caught 30 between two of us and got on a good square bill bite. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I really fell in love with Logan Martin again when I was down there fishing that tournament. It was one of my favorite places to fish when I first started getting serious about bass fishing. When I got my first boat, which was a 14-foot Grumman John boat with an 8-horse tiller on the back. The guy that sold me that boat actually took me fishing over on Logan Martin, and I fell in love with that lake. It's where I learned how to drop shot. No, it's where I learned how to wacky rig, and it's where I learned how to throw a topwater bait. So, holy crap. Who just donated $100? Oh my gosh. Tyler Sexton, brother. Just wanted to say, to help getting the winner to Georgia. Hope y'all catch them like crazy. Thanks, brother. Oh my gosh, you're awesome. Woo! That's got to be a record, or close to. I don't know. That's got to be a record for donations. I'm dumbfounded. You didn't have to do that, man. I appreciate it. Y'all are awesome. Whoo! Hey Gene, I gotta regroup. Hey Gene, ever fished the sky? I already read that one. Let me get back to. All right. If you ever start guiding again, I will definitely be in a line for a spot. If anything else, just to acquire some knowledge. Yeah, man, that's how I guided. What I used to do is I would go to my client's home lake that was close to their house. I'd get there a day early. I'd run around the lake to make sure I understood where all the hazards and stuff and how to be safe. And then the next day I'd take them fishing and show them how to find fish on their lake, and then show them how to catch them for the next 2 to 3 months. And I loved it. And those guys who got a chance to do that, really, to this day, they call me back and they get a hold of me and thank me for doing it. And I loved it that way. That was a lot of fun. It was just a lot of travel, and I didn't have a lot of money back then, so it was great. Hey, Gene, I was wondering if there is. I was wondering that is there any way I can go fishing with you, even though I won't win? I'd really like to fish with someone who knows what they're doing. When I start guiding again, definitely. Or if you see me out on a lake, just come bump into me. We'll talk for a little bit. Unless I've got the video cameras on, then I'm working. See, I caught 7 decent bass in an hour only a few weeks ago. I haven't caught anything in the last 4 days here in Savannah. I've tried Zoom worm, June bug on a Texas rig, a frog, and lipless crankbait. Down in, they're going to be, man, in the Savannah River, or in Savannah. My thought is that they're done spawning, and so they're going to be pulled off onto offshore stuff. And if it's a shallow lake, there's a lot of those shallow lakes in Savannah, a lot of those man-made that are just like dug in ditches. They're going to be on the outside edge of the grass line and cruising up and down that grass line. So can you throw a walking popping frogs on a medium heavy with 50 65 pound braid? You can. You're just going to have to set the hook really hard, but you should be able to, definitely. So top best lures for summer bass. Dude, my mind's not even on summer bass yet. I throw a worm a lot in the summertime, a Texas rig worm. I throw a lot of deep diving crankbaits, Carolina rigs, spinnerbaits up shallow. Those are the ones that come to mind. It just all depends, but I almost always have a big worm on a Texas rig. Matter of fact, I start fishing that this month, and I'll fish it all through summertime. So water temperature here in Georgia is pretty, what is it now? 70, probably in the mid 70s. Oh my gosh, guys. Doug Stubbs, thanks for the 25 bucks. Oh my goodness. And then another 50 dono from somebody. Patriot Fishing to help get Pete D. Man, Pete, you're coming to Georgia, bro. Y'all are awesome. I don't know. That's awesome. Holy cow. Tomorrow's going to, hold on a minute. That's so cool. You guys are incredible. Tomorrow is going to be a bluebird sky, and the water temp is going to be around 55 degrees. So about pre-spawn. And the fishing, the fish have been biting, but not committing, and have saw little fish up shallow. They're not quite going to be shallow. This is what I'm going to tell you to do. Go fish shallow, but fish out of sight of the bottom. In other words, fish where your bait's going to go out of sight. Throw a square bill, a lipless crankbait, and a chatterbait, but fish it where you can't see it. The bass are at about 55 to 60 degrees. They start to cruise that shallow area, but they want to be deep enough where they're really comfortable, and they want to be close to deeper water. So if something happens, like the weather goes bad or something scares them and chases them off, all they got to do is go down and go a little bit deeper and just get away from it. Fish pockets and fish on the way back to the backs of creeks and deeper pockets that have water running into the back of them. And don't underestimate throwing a jerkbait either. So that's what I would do, definitely. But that's the biggest thing is they're going to be right out of sight, man. They're going to be just, right where your bait starts to disappear. I still can't get over those donations. Holy cow. Hey, Gene, you should do a giveaway similar to this, but instead of anyone, it should be for kids and guardians so you could teach the kids how. That's awesome, dude. I love it. I love it. He says, so you can teach the kids how to fish. That's awesome. Yeah, there's going to be a little bit more to that one, but definitely I think that's probably going to be doable. What baits would you fish in super grassy, small North Georgia pond? Super grassy, I always go to like what I call a split shot rig or a mojo rig. Take a trick worm, a 7-inch trick worm, put it on a regular worm hook, a light wired worm hook, and on about 10-pound line maybe, and then pinch a 1/16 ounce split shot on the about 5 or 6 inches above that hook. Pinch it on there and start dragging that thing on top of the grass and around the grass, and you'll catch fish, especially on small ponds. Or you can swim a Ned rig too. That's a little bit more finessey though, or you just got to be tricky with it. Vincent, thanks for the $2, man. He says you're the man. That's awesome. Thanks, man. Rosario says the largemouth have been killing biospawn plasma tails on a shaky head lately in upstate New York. I believe it, dude. That's a great shaky head worm. Not really good for like a Texas rig unless they've changed the plastic. Just before I left Biospawn, we were working on getting the plastic right on those plasma tails. It was perfect for a shaky head, but when you put it on a Texas rig, it was stiff enough to where when you set the hook, it automatically slid down the hook and got in the way of the hook set, which is something that like Zoom has mastered. But their worms don't last as long. The Biospawn lasts longer. So plasma tail, great worm, great worm. Shallow neighborhood ponds, usually weightless worms, kill it on the banks. But what else could I throw? And I just mentioned it, a Ned rig. But a lot of those shallow neighborhood ponds have a lot of mud on the bottom, a lot of muck. So what I do is I cast it out. I let it just barely hit the bottom, and then I lift my rod tip up, and I slowly start reeling it while just kind of, popping my rod a little bit and just slowly reeling it, trying to keep it above whatever muck's on the bottom. When Noah Pescatelli, Kicking Their Bass TV, and I did a video together, we did a competition. We had, 30 minutes to fish? Whoever could catch the most fish in 30 minutes, and it was the pond that he learned how to fish on. And I beat him by one fish, and all I did was grab a pocket full of Ned rig stuff and my rod and went and worked the bank, and it was fun. And he had never fished a Ned rig. After it was all over, I handed him one. I said, here, make a cast. He made a cast and caught a fish. So first cast with it. Dwayne Miller, man, hold on a second. Let me get to your comment. Oh, goodness. Dwayne Miller, thanks for the $10. He says, just a little more to help Pete enjoy his trip. Without all your dedicated viewers, this trip and future trips wouldn't be possible. Hope everything goes great and y'all have a blast. Thanks, Dwayne. Holy cow, y'all are awesome. Y'all are really awesome. Ed Wolf, man, welcome. He says, Steve Potts, okay, that's to Steve. Never mind. I'll let Steve read that one. What time do you think you will guide again? I don't know. Whenever YouTube starts to slow down, really. And I may do it just for fun. I've been beating around that idea for the last several months. But let's see. The bass here in Georgia have worse commitment issues than some of my ex-girlfriends. That's hilarious. Have you used the Ned bug yet? What are your thoughts on it? I have not. I haven't used it. I've seen it. I've held it in my hands, but that was back when they only had a couple, 2 or 3 bags, and I didn't take any with me. So, do you recommend using Flukemaster chip with your charting? Check and make sure what lake's on Flukemaster. I have their app on my phone. Let me see if I can't remember what the name of it is. Rusty, I just got your text, man. It's called Fish Smart, and yeah, you got to pay per lake, but you get the lakes you want, and they're really good. The Flukemaster map, the reason I never got it is because when I fished Clark's Hill, they didn't have a Clark's Hill map. So check and see what map's on Flukemaster before you start investing that kind of money on it. But definitely, it's a really good program when they have the lakes that you fish. So. Man, oh man. John, I'll message you if I need to do shirt design. I've got 2 sons that are taking classes right now in graphics design, so I'm letting them do a lot of the shirt stuff. What do you think of Berkeley Maxent? I have no clue. Have not even paid much attention. Do you think tungsten is worth it? Yes. Yes, so much so for a couple, 2 or 3 years, every single paycheck, I pulled $20 and went and bought tungsten. It's more sensitive because it's harder. You can feel the bottom better, and it is it's just heavier and smaller. So you get it. There's quite a few advantages to it. So thanks, Siddiqui. Eric Siddiqui's a good friend of mine. Hey, Gene, here's a coffee for 3-pound largie you helped me catch here in South Carolina on one of your tips. Any guides you recommend here in Charleston? I don't know any in Charleston. Most of the guides I know are around the Tennessee River. So, oh my gosh, the donations are still blowing my mind. Kurt, thanks for the comment. Do you have any, Shrubbeed is the name? Do you have any tips on fishing flooded lakes to the point where pavilions are mostly underwater? I used to have a really good pattern to flooded lakes. I called it the picnic table pattern, and the bass will get up underneath picnic tables. But that was just a one-time thing. The biggest thing is if the water is rising, the bass are going to be really, really close to the bank. And feeding on whatever's coming out of the ground as that water is rising. If the water is falling, then they're going to pull out to the next available deeper cover or to a drop, and they're going to hang out there and feed along that drop or along that outside cover because they're afraid of getting caught up in the shallow water as the water's receding. Because that is their environment, because that's their home, they can tell when it's receding even the slightest amount, and they will move. So my trick is if I'm on a fish on a lake one day and it's high and I'm going to be there the next day, I want to take a stick and I'm going to stick it in the mud right there on the water line next to the boat ramp or wherever I put in or take out. And when I come back the next morning, I'm going to check that stick. And if the water is below that stick, it's falling. If it's above that stick, it's rising. Just helps me to choose how I'm going to fish that day. So there's a master tip right there. All right, let's see. Yeah, Sean Meyer said hit the like button, guys. Yeah, I appreciate it. Let's see. Hey, Gene, I was throwing a 16th ounce weedless wacky rig today and lost all the ones I hooked up on. Any tips for keeping them buttoned up? I changed the kind of hook I was using when I started to really get a hard time or have a hard time hooking up on weedless on wacky rigs, and I changed to it's basically a Gamakatsu wacky rig hook, and it's shaped kind of weird looking. It instead of a round shape like a regular hook is, it drops down and it kind of comes out straight, and then it hooks just like this. And I can't remember the name of there's an old style hook that it's kind of fashioned after, but it's smaller. So the Gamakatsu weedless wacky hooks are what I use. So if you had to pick one crankbait for this time of year, what would it be and what color? Well, right now on my lakes, because the bass are almost done spawning and it's about to become the shad spawn, or the shad are about to start spawning, it's going to be a square bill in a shad pattern. And I love the Strike King KVD 1.5s in either sexy or chartreuse sexy shad, or what's the other one I use? Or natural shad, I think what the color is. That's usually what I throw if I had to pick one right now for this time of the year. Jacob Sparks, I remember this. He says, you jumped out of your truck at a busy intersection a while ago to give me a sticker because I threw my hand out. Guys, this man is dedicated. I remember that. And the light was red. It wasn't that busy. I know everybody around me thought I was about to go and punch you in the face or something, but yeah, that was fun. I do that quite often. Do you find that a trick worm to dance? I don't know what that means, Michael. How would you fish a super deep, ultra clear strip pit for bigger bass? Light line and something I could get down to the depths fast, like a drop shot or a drop shot. That's the only thing that came to my mind, but just finesse is what I would do, and then something that gets down so I can fish more efficiently. Who donated $25? John, thanks for the $25, man. Get my Lone Star brother out there to fish. I will definitely now. That's awesome. Gosh almighty, y'all are awesome. Oh, I gotta catch my breath. Last weekend, the air temp was about 60 degrees and it was bluebird skies and couldn't get a bite. I used a jig jerkbait spinnerbait. What would you recommend? Typically when it's bluebird skies, I'm going to go to the bottom. I'm going to fish something slow on or close to the bottom. just because they can see really, really good. It's not, my guess is that the water was probably pretty clear too. So in very good high visibility issues or situations, I'm going to throw something that looks natural, and I'm going to throw it close to the bottom, and I'm going to fish it really slow. That's just me. I know there's guys that can fish, catch fish on swim baits and that kind of stuff during that period of time. I can't. And so, but if I get a little wind on the water, I'm going to throw a spinnerbait. I'm going to throw a square bill, something moving. 60 degrees, they're probably up really shallow, getting ready to spawn. And I'll be up there focusing on the stumps and the logs and the hard cover that they're going to be spawning on. So, let's see. Larry says, I've had luck with reaction baits like square bills and lipless, but nothing wormy. Yeah, it's probably a little early. I'm not sure where you are, what your water temperatures are, but if you're having luck with reaction baits, probably got a little bit of pre-spawn going on. And then I don't start throwing a worm until they're almost done with the spawn. And then literally, if I was to go fishing tomorrow, I'd have a Texas rig worm on somewhere that I could throw around. And our water temperatures are probably in the mid 70s right now. So how do you select colors to match the water clarity? That's a whole video in and of itself, Lewis. I've got one called how to match colors, and it's in the water clarity is what dictates the colors to me, or light penetration is what dictates what colors I use. The clearer the water, the more natural the colors. The dirtier the water, the brighter, whiter, and darker colors I use. So it all depends. But go watch that video. It's really, really in depth. Let's see. I find that a Texas rig trick worm is too dense hard for the hook to penetrate a fish on a finesse setup. Your thoughts? Texas rig trick worm is too dense or hard for the. I've never had that issue, but I always use a light wire hook, and not so much of a fat one. The ones I love are the Gamakatsu. They're called G Finesse flipping hooks, or light flipping hooks. I think they're called G Finesse. I can't remember. G Finesse heavy cover hooks, and they're actually a light wire deal. They also make some G Finesse that have a little tin keeper on them that's a regular worm hook, and those work really good. They're just lighter wire, but they're really, really tough comparative to other ones that are the same thickness of wire. And the lighter the wire, the easier it is to set the hook. So it may also be a little bit limber rod. You may need to get a stiffer rod. So let's see. Let me try to find a question. Spinnerbait versus chatterbait. What determines which you're throwing? If I'll throw a chatterbait in grassy lakes or even non-grassy lakes, but if I'm fishing a grassy lake, I'm gonna throw a chatterbait. And if I'm throwing into like wood and laydowns and a lot of brush piles and stuff like that, it's gonna be a spinnerbait, because a chatterbait gets hung in it a lot. But I prefer figuring out. Let me see if I can put it this way. I prefer fishing a chatterbait over a spinnerbait until I'm fishing wood, is what I'm trying to say. So what's a good knot for 17-pound fluorocarbon? I use an improved clinch knot. I just have to, the biggest thing is once you tie the knot, while you're tightening down, wet it with some spit or some water or something, and then as you're tightening it down, use your finger to slide that knot down the line instead of trying to burn that knot down the line, and it'll be a great knot. It holds up really good. I don't tie a Palomar knot on fluorocarbon unless it's a drop shot. I've broken off so many baits on a cast after throwing tying an improved or clinch knot on a fluorocarbon. Just not good for me, because I burn that knot every time I tighten it down. So For some reason, I don't like to tie on leaders. Do you know of or have experience with just straight braid to a lure for most lures? You can do that. And I don't see any problem with it at all. There's some that it may cause you to lose a few fish, and there's some situations where it's a lot better. Where I have a problem with it is crankbaits. You got those treble hooks, and the bait sometimes will propeller in the air as you cast it. The braid will get wrapped around the hooks really easy. Spooks, topwater, stuff like that. I don't do it on braid unless I have a short leader on it. Just for the same reason, the hooks just get wrapped around the braid. Other than that, I've done it. I don't, in some situations where it's super clear water, I'm not comfortable fishing straight braid. But you still can catch fish doing it. I mean, there's no doubt. So what size leader do you use for 15-pound braid on a spinning rods? Actually, the rig or the type of bait that I'm using dictates what pound test leader I put on. And I'll put on anywhere from 4-pound test to 10-pound test on a spinning rod. Sometimes 12, but I don't like a 12. It's just too stiff for that FG knot when I'm tying it with 20-pound braid. And I put 20-pound braid on my spinning rods. 15 is great though. It really is. So for really super finesse stuff, you go lighter. If you're going to be in the thicker cover, stuff like that, just go, 10, 12-pound test. AM Fishing. Hey, Fluke, I listened to you and fished the Mojo rig in clear grassy water in my very first tournament and finished third. Thanks to you, buddy. That's awesome, man. Congratulations. Wow, that's awesome. All right, Steve Potts, do you know what situation nanofeel line is best used for? It's pretty pricey, so I don't want to try any if I'm not going to use it properly. I've gotten a spool and I've never tied it on. I wasn't sure what to use it for, or it just feels different than anything I've ever used. So yeah, I would try it. I just don't see any reason to. I'm very happy with the braid that I'm using. And for that price, I'd have to be a pretty unhappy with what I'm using. Do I catfish or carp fish? I catfish sometimes, but not on purpose. I grew up catfishing a little bit, but no, bass is pretty much what I'd love to focus on. Nate, I'm receiving my dad's bass boat in June, and it needs electronics. What's a good starter unit for console and bow? Honestly, you could go with anything, any of the big four, I think. Raymarine, Garmin, Lowrance, and Humminbird. What I would do is I would get, for if you're going to be in a boat, on the console, get the largest screen that you can afford that has down imaging, at least down imaging, regular map or mapping with GPS, and regular sonar. If you can afford side imaging, great. But side imaging is really good if you have a really big screen because you can see all the details. And then up front, get you something where you just have down imaging and regular sonar and mapping, and you'll be set. I use a map and regular sonar up front more than I do anything else. But that's just from my experiences and the fact that I love regular sonar sitting up front. So whew, I'm way behind, guys. I am sorry. Let me see if I can get caught up. Been bank fishing and not much luck. Water temps mid to low 50s. Not seeing any cruisers or beds yet. Help. Water temps mid to low 50. So you're still really, really early. They're probably just starting to move up shallow. Go to the rocks, go to points, and go to logs that are laying in the water on the sunny side of the bank. So because they're just moving up, they're trying to get warm. They don't like to be in the low 50s. So they're going to try to find that warmer water. And don't underestimate finding a place. If some lakes have them, some don't. That's why I usually don't mention. But if you have lakes that have like a dark spots on the bottom, a lot of times, I know in Georgia, it's usually just a pile of leaves from the fall that have sunk and settled in one little spot. That in shallow water, that will warm up faster than anything else if there's no logs or rocks or something. So Those are the 3 things that I look for, or 4 things. Have you ever heard of people using a bead between the hook and sinker of a Texas rig to help with the bait, help the bait make more noise? Yes, I do it when I'm fishing at night, almost all the time. I'll throw a little, actually I'll throw 2 beads in there a lot of times, but on a Texas rig, I'll put a bead there just to give it a little click at night. So, because I don't like to put those worm rattles in worms. I don't know, just don't like it. So what's your favorite finesse rig? Nico rig versus Ned rig. Ned and shaky head versus drop shot. Ned rig. All day long in Ned rig. All right, let me get back to the comments. How do you fish the herring spawn on Clark's Hill right now? Woo, has it started already? Zach, I'm going to give you my tricks, okay? You got to be in a boat or a kayak because you got to cover a lot of water. But in the mouth of Keg Creek, on the south end or south side of the mouth of Keg Creek, are some points on a big island. Can't remember what that island's called. There's several points, but and this is the kind of stuff you're looking for all over that area of the lake. What happens is you pull up on those points and you flush those herring up into the grass or up into onto those shallow points, and the largemouth are sitting there waiting, and they're going to start busting. Have your topwater bait ready. Have a clear Super Spook Junior with a red treble hook on the front, and then before you even drop the trolling motor, sit there with that rod in your hand and just wait, and they'll come up, and you got to throw at them, work your bait, and catch 1 or 2, and then go. Okay, the only time on that point specifically, but the only time on a point that I stay is when there's a loon on that point, and that loon is chasing the bait fish around. Other than that, you're going to catch 1 to 2, maybe 3 fish per point, and just keep on going, point to point to point to point. And those blow-throughs, those shallow areas between the islands and the mainland, throw that, throw a Carolina rig, throw a fluke, and you'll whack them. You know, you're in competition with a lot of people though, so just keep going from point to point. And if they don't blow up in the first 15 to 20 seconds, go somewhere else because the bass aren't there. Ask King, man, thanks for the $5. He says Shellman is right beside Nickajack Dam. Okay, in Jasper, Tennessee. Also didn't get anything today, sadly. Was wondering what's your biggest catch. The biggest fish I've ever caught, I caught from a Jackson mayfly kayak, and it was about somewhere between a 250 and 300 pound Goliath grouper. That's the biggest fish I ever caught. So what's the biggest worm you will fish on a standard pro spot remover? The biggest worm that I would fish is probably a Magnum trick worm, that size. I can't remember what the length. I think that one's 7.5 inches. But like a Magnum fat trick worm is probably the biggest one I'll throw on it. I was going to just use Fireline Crystal on spinning. Thoughts? I was debating on no fluoro leader. I don't know. I hope Fireline's better than what it used to be 10 years ago. That's about the last time I used it. So maybe somebody in chat can help you out that has used it. I have not in a long time, and I know a lot changes over the years. So what graph do you recommend for a kayak? Same thing, one that you can afford, that has the biggest screen that you can afford. Usually a 6 or 7 inch is probably good for a kayak. I use a 9 inch, and it's almost too big because it just gets in the way. And then down imaging, regular sonar, and mapping are key. I use side imaging on mine, but my Bonafide really does work well with a side imaging transducer. So, Jerry says, hey, Gene, when is the best time to throw the 13 fishing motorboat? And what he's talking about is, I took it back to my boat, is the new 13 bait that has the little buzzbait prop. And I'm going to throw it during shad spawn. It's a topwater bait. Early in the morning along shallow cover is where I'm going to be throwing it. And I have not had a chance to fish it but once this year, or once since I got them. Because I got them in the middle of the wintertime, and of course nothing was hitting topwater. So give me a little bit of time. to play around with that thing and get some confidence in it. But it looks like it's a bass catching machine, that's for sure. Let's see. Brad, a guy by the name of Peter Corey from Texas won. He's from Fort Worth, Texas. So he'll be coming out here. We'll be fishing together, and I'm going to make a video so you guys can kind of share in it. That'd be pretty cool. And this will not be the last trip giveaway. I love trip giveaways. So do you ever come over and fish Lake Hartwell? I've only been there a few times. I have never had great luck on Hartwell. The only time I've ever had good luck was when I was fishing with Brian Latimer several months ago. He knows that lake like the back of his hand, and of course we caught fish. But man, that lake has my number. What do you think about the Concept Boss reel? I love it, absolutely love it. I have their cranking version, and I have their 8-1-to-1 baitcaster. It is pricey. It's it's their high end stuff. It's very, very light. It's got really good bearings. It's got really good everything. So it's not a cheap reel, but I love it, man. They're awesome. Is a chatterbait or spinnerbait better in strong river currents? I'd fish either or, really. I've had good luck with both of them in rivers. Chatterbait would be a lot of fun, just because it looks more like just a single bait fish. But I'm pretty sure, dang it, the spinnerbait would work just as good for sure. What's your favorite color for tannic water? White, to be honest with you. Absolutely love white. And then the second color I use is a grape, like a dark purple or a June bug. So Weiss Lake shad spawn go-to. I'm going to start with a popper because I always do. A little white or a little shad colored popper. But man, I have so many things I throw during the shad spawn. The biggest thing is focus on those shady banks that the sun's going to hit last, and the bite will last the longest right there. So what's my biggest bass? It's a 10-pound, 12-ounce bass caught just outside of Auburn, Alabama on a private lake. It was 10-12, and I caught another one that was about 10-4. It was 10-2 or 10-4 down in Fellsmere, Florida a couple of years ago. Joshua Mercado says, what a coincidence. I was looking for tutorials on how to make several types of rigs, found your channel, and now I'm here watching you live, all within 20 minutes. Wow, dude, that's awesome. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, but hit that little bell next to it so you get notifications when I launch new videos. Dude, I've been doing this a long time, and I really appreciate everybody that subscribes and everybody that watches my videos. I do it for each individual person. I'm not here to try to make a lot of money, and I'm not here to try to be famous. I just want to be me. So, and that's what you get. What's your favorite color, Fluke? Is white ice. Will be the one I go to. Now, don't make the mistake I did. Don't buy them in bulk ever. White pearl or white ice, they yellow out in about 2 years. And if you don't use them all within 2 years, you just got to throw them away. I bought 25 packs one time, and I think I used 5 of them. And the rest of them I had to throw out because they were just ugly yellow. That's just what happens to white and clear soft plastic. So what should you spend more money on, the rod or the reel? The reel. Without a doubt, the reel, because you get what you pay for when it comes to a reel. 13 Fishing rods. The reason I love their rods and their reels, but their rods in particular, they always feel better and respond and perform better than their price point. And like I say, like their $80 rods fish like $100 rods. Their $100 rods fish like $120 rods. Yeah, I just love the fact that they want to make the best rod they can, but still keep the price down. Hey, Gene, new subscriber from Pickens, South Carolina. I've been there once. That's awesome. Learning a lot. Need to come up here to Kiowee, or I never can say the name of that word. Jocassee Lake. Yes, I do. Those are some lakes that ever since I lived over in Augusta, those are lakes I wanted to get up and fish, just never was able to get up there. Ned rig, size, head, bait, brand, color. Whoo, Z-Man California Craw. I use the 1/10 Z-Man regular TRD, and my favorite color will always be the deal. and is what I go to first, which is the pearl green pumpkin laminate, which is, I love that color. Do you always throw a swim bait on your chatterbait spinnerbait rod? Yes, I do. When a jig-headed swim bait. When you say swim baits, it could be like my 9-inch bull shads all the way down to the little paddle tails. Paddle tails, I always throw on that rod because it's got a lot of backbone, but still has that parabolic bend that you want, and it's just a really good paddle tail swim bait rod. And you can chunk those baits a mile. It's 7'4", so you can really chunk a paddle tail. So, do I use Cincos in the spring? I don't use Cincos unless somebody's threatening me. They catch fish. I know they catch fish. I just don't like to fish them because I'd rather watch paint dry. There's so many other ways that cause me to move my bait more, and I just feel more in contact with the bait than I do with a Cinco. And they're great baits, don't get me wrong. And I think every beginner and every angler ought to at least know how to fish them. I just don't like to. Doesn't mean I don't know how to. I just don't like to. What's a good snag-free bait? I don't think there's any such thing. There are baits that are rigged snagless that won't get snagged as often, and that's a lot of Texas rig stuff. You know, somebody made a bad or mean comment on one of my videos this last week, and it all boiled down to the fact that he said that we don't care about pros don't care about losing lures because they get them for free and they lose them all the time. And I got to thinking, I haven't lost a lure in, gosh, months and months. And so it's just a matter of being, getting enough time on the water to know how to keep your baits from getting snagged and which ones to choose from. And that's kind of what he's asking. Texas rigged worms, Texas rigged anything really is pretty snagless. Spinner baits, if you don't stop in the middle of the brush pile, that kind of stuff. Let's see. Best spinning reel and rod, and what do you use the most with a spinning rod? I never talk about the best because there's so many different brands and stuff. I use the 13 Fishing fake chrome and the fake black spinning rods. My favorite one is actually their 7-foot, I think it's 7'1" medium and 7-something medium light. I can't remember the length of it, but it's a I love it. The biggest thing, and I use it for all light line techniques, and anything I'm throwing really light crankbaits, I'll throw them, but mainly light line techniques like drop shot, Ned rig, Nico rig, all the little finesse stuff that you do. Woo! All right, catching my breath. Tyler, dude, thanks for the $25 dono. That's so awesome. You guys are crazy donating money to me. Oh, that's so awesome. Got a tournament in the morning. Fishing is tough due to the crazy weather. Would a split shot rig be a good rig to catch weight with? What can I target such as points, drop-offs, ledges, rocks, or grass? Thanks in advance. The split shot will be really good to catch numbers. And it's really good in grass because it didn't get hung up as bad. But I fish it everywhere shallow. The reason I don't fish it deep is because it takes too stinking long for it to drop. So shallow on points, shallow on rocks and grass is what I would throw. Just be versatile. Pick 5 baits that you can fish those type of cover and structure with. And like I say, this time of the year, I don't know what your water temperatures are, but fish just out of sight. Because if the bass are shallow, they're going to be right there where you can't see them, but they'll be cruising along the bank right there or holding to cover in that part. I'll give you an example. Week before last, my son and I were right here on my public lake, my public fishing area that's right down the road. It gets hammered because nobody's at work right now, so everybody's fishing. And so we stopped fishing super shallow. We pulled out to 4 to 5 feet deep, which is what the water clarity was. Actually, water clarity was about 3.5. So we started fishing stumps in 4 to 5 foot of water and pitching to them and let them sit at the bottom of the stump and just shake them. And we got wrecked. And so that's one of the things that I would do is try to find that cover that's just out of sight, and you'll find the bass. Whew. All right, guys, 6 minutes. What's a good swim jig to throw in heavy cover? That's kind of what swim jigs were designed for. So there's a lot of different ones that you can throw. The ones I have in my box, I use two brands. I use the 6 Cent swim jig, and I use the Greenfish tackle swim jig. And that's it. Just keeps it simple. And I buy three different colors: black and blue, a bluegill color, and then a shad color, a white or white and chrome or white and gray, something like that. So white and chartreuse too, but I don't throw that very often. Ash King says, hey, Fluke, was wondering how can I stop missing bites when using a Texas rig with a green pumpkin worm? It's rock bottom water, so it's hard to tell between them. Evidently you think you're missing them because you can't tell the difference, or you're having trouble telling the difference between the rock and the fish, which I understand. It happens a lot. What you ought to do is when you feel something, okay, just start holding your rod up at about 10 o'clock and hold the line, bring the line up just almost tight to where it's just a little bit of bow in the line, and just hold it there still and see if something moves it that and it wasn't you moving your rod. And that's how I tell what a bite is. The best thing to do for that situation is learn what those rocks feel like, and it takes time doing it. You know, a good rock feels like a washboard, like you're bringing it across a lot of stuff, and but a bass itself will pick it up and move off with it, or they'll pick it up and then they'll crush it with their crushers, and you'll feel that. But you'll be like, wait a minute, I didn't make the bait do that, and then you set the hook. So, dang, I just saw, there it is. I thought I lost it. The Kimber 318 says, as someone new to bass fishing, what is the best rig or lure for clear water? If you just want to go catch fish, I always recommend a finesse bait, like a Ned rig and something on light line. Ned rig, shaky head, drop shot on a light line, especially in clear water. You can use mono. It's worked for many, many years, and it's inexpensive. Once you get confidence and if you can afford it, buy some fluorocarbon, but it's not cheap line. But if you take care of it, it'll last you for a long time. But yeah, I would use like a Ned rig or a drop shot or a shaky head. Shaky head and Ned rig are probably the easiest ones to fish. So, Rusty. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Dude, I'll tell you, I will call you and if I end up doing that, and remind me. I know you got my number. You texted me. I already read your text. So definitely, if there's a parent-kid trip that I give away, it'll probably be in the summertime after all this mess is gone or slows down, and we'll definitely get that rocking and rolling. Any tips on buying a used boat other than the obvious, such as compression? Get out in it, really. Used boats, the best thing to do is go run them after you've had it checked out and stuff like that. Ask the guy if you can go run it, stand up in it, walk back and forth on the deck, up and down, check the storage and everything else, and make sure it is what you want it to be. When I first got my Alumacraft boats years ago, they had the only boat that they had that was comparable to the one I've got now was a multi-species boat that was designed for crappie fishing and whatever else you wanted to fish out of. And it was great. It just wasn't a bass boat. And it was missing a lot of storage and layout issues. And so over the years of working with them, we finally came up with a boat that was a bass boat. The Pro 185 is now a bass boat. It's got a rod locker that holds 8-foot rods like I wanted. It's got plenty of tackle storage. The only thing it's missing now is a cooler, but I just throw a cooler in the boat, no big deal. But they've done a lot to change that. But the biggest thing is make sure whatever boat you buy is one that's going to have what you need. And there is a little give and take. Don't worry about that. But if you've got a lot of tackle, you got to have a lot of storage. If you've got long rods, you got to have a place for your rods, or it's just going to drive you nuts. So. Ed Wolf, man, thanks for the $10, brother. He says, everyone hit the like button or hit the thumbs up. Gene fishing some chocolate milk tomorrow here in Savannah, post spawn. Any tips and get that Texas guy over here to God's country? You know it, brother. If it's chocolate milk, shallow cover, dude. The stuff that you can see going into the water, and the bass are going to be really close to it. So multiple casts until you run it past their nose. Black and blue jig, black and blue worm, all kinds of stuff, but black and blue. So, all right, guys, it's been an hour. I'm going to jump off of here. My son's got a video he wants to edit, so I'm going to let him have my computer. Look for the Tackle Tuesday video. It's going to be a really good one. And I'm working on one that's taking a lot of work. That's kind of advanced kayak fishing skills. I'm excited about it. It's been on my mind for a couple of months, and I really wanted to put this one out. I'm going to start doing a little bit more kayak videos where I talk about the basically kayaking on a different level, and the thought and the techniques that you don't hear a lot of people talk about. And I'm still going to be fishing out of my boat. I still got a lot of videos planned for that. But anyway, thanks, George811, for sponsoring this month. Thank you for sponsoring the giveaway. Congratulations to Pete from Texas. You guys are going to see that video within the next 2 months. And I hope we whack them. I hope we have a great day. So, like I always say, be sure to introduce somebody to fishing. Introduce them to my channel. Let me help you teach them how to fish. More importantly, get out on the water, go out and catch some fish, and have a great day, guys. We'll see you.